Hi, it's Katrina. Here are 9 lost ancient secrets. Number 9. Egypt's Lost Hall of Records. While a Hall of Records might sound quite boring, there is a rumor that there is an ancient lost Hall of Records from ancient Egypt, similar to the Library of Alexandria, containing all the secrets and knowledge of the ancient world. Famous clairvoyant Edgar Cayce went into a trance and declared that the refugees from the lost city of Atlantis had buried their secrets in a hall of records under the Sphinx. Although he died in 1945, he wrote many books and started a holistic and paranormal research foundation. People inspired by Cayce's predictions went to Egypt to learn more about the pyramids and the Sphinx and tried to find these invaluable historical documents. Most scholars reject this belief, arguing that there is no actual evidence of such a place existing. In 1998, Director of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, Zahi Hawass, led excavations at the site, and the team reportedly discovered several natural caves containing no artifacts. But this did not stop people from believing that the Hall of Records is real. To this day, believers in ancient aliens accuse the Egyptian government and mainstream experts of blocking further investigations. They believe that authorities' denial of access to the site implies that they are keeping secrets about what's really there. The Sphinx has always gotten everyone's attention with its aura of magic and mysticism, and the strange, mysterious holes found throughout the structure make people wonder, what is the Sphinx hiding? There is one rumor that the Hall of Records was sealed off by a pre-Egyptian society way back in 10,500 BC, because that's the last time that the Leo constellation lined up with the area between the Sphinx's paws. How would anyone know that? I'm not sure. However, ground-penetrating radar has revealed empty spaces and abnormalities in the ground below the Sphinx. And while some say it is just caves, it is hard to believe the ancient Egyptians wouldn't take advantage of that space and use it for something sacred. Those who believe in the Hall of Records think that uncovering it would expose a wealth of information about ancient Egypt and world history, perhaps even what happened to Atlantis. They also assert that the documents within may not have been left by the ancient Egyptians, but perhaps by an advanced prehistoric society that we do not even know about. Number 8. Yamashitas Gold. There are rumors that a Japanese World War II general tried to hide a stash of gold in the Philippines. Ever since the war ended, treasure hunters have been searching for the legendary treasure said to be hidden near a remote village. American historian Sterling Seagrave believes that the Imperial Japanese forces committed large-scale looting during World War II, taking billions of dollars worth of stolen goods with help from the Yakuza gang and elite members of society. They supposedly stashed the treasure in caves, tunnels, and underground sites throughout the Philippines. Now known as Yamashitas Gold, the alleged hoard is named after the Japanese general Tomoyuki Yamashita, who reportedly masterminded the thefts. Temptation to strike it big has attracted treasure hunters for over 50 years. Many experts reject the tale of the fabled gold and believe that people are wasting their time and money searching for something that simply doesn't exist. Meanwhile, local residents of a hillside village on the island of Panay have petitioned the government to stop allowing excavations, which are threatening to cause a deadly landslide that could bury several homes. In a desperate plea to officials last year, villagers accused scavengers of jeopardizing their safety. The treasure hunters stubbornly claimed that authorities permitted the search and said they had no plans to stop. A few months later, a group discovered a crumbling tunnel at one of the suspected treasure sites. Carved into a mountain, the labyrinth was too unstable to enter, so the team sent in a robot. It captured images of what appeared to be hand-chiseled walls, posts with numbers on them, and an old military-issued knife, possibly dating back to World War II. What do you think? Are fortune seekers endangering people's lives for nothing? Or might there be some truth to the legend? Let me know in the comments below. Number 7. Man in the Iron Mask. The mysterious unidentified 17th century prisoner known simply as the Man in the Iron Mask has gone down in history with no name. All we know is that he was arrested in 1669 and spent upwards of 30 years in various French prisons. The prisoner wore a black velvet mask the entire time, right up until his death in 1703, leaving his identity a mystery to this day. Ever since, people have been trying to figure out who the man was. Scholars have debunked the claims of writer Alexander Dumas and the renowned philosopher Voltaire, who alleged that the prisoner was the twin brother of Louis XIV, also known as Louis the Great. Most modern experts believe that the man's name was Eustache d'Auger, according to historian Paul Sonino, who claims that the captive was a valet for someone important. As a valet, he would have had a very close relationship with whoever he served, and may have overheard important secrets. This would explain why he was kept under such tight security for so long. Sonino thoroughly studied records and concluded that d'Auger worked for the treasurer of a wealthy and high-ranking church official named Cardinal Mazarin. Evidence indicates that Mazarin may have accumulated some of his fortune by swindling English royalty. The historian theorized that Cardinal Mazarin's treasurer caught on to the dirty deed, d'Auger in turn found out about it, and then he mentioned it to the wrong person. Perhaps his punishment came in the form of lifelong imprisonment, along with threats of execution if he ever dared to expose his identity. While we may not ever know what the man in the Iron Mask looked like, we now at least know who he probably was and what he might have been locked up for. Number 6. Taj Mahal Basement. The Taj Mahal was built in 1632 for Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan's favorite wife, Mumtaz Mahal. Situated on a 42-acre complex in the modern-day city of Agra in India, the breathtaking monument is the couple's final resting place. Their tombs are locked in a sealed chamber in the building's basement and are generally off-limits to visitors. Directly above, on the first floor, there are 2 replica burials on public display. On Shah Jahan's birthday in 2018, visitors received an extremely rare opportunity to see the authentic tombs firsthand. Sadly, they found the graves in a deplorable state, blackened from years of neglect, and so they called on the government to restore them and to grant regular public access. By allowing visitors regularly, authorities would be held to higher standards of accountability when it comes to maintaining the tombs. But officials maintained their typical cryptic demeanor, and the tombs remained closed. This type of response is one of several suspicious things people have pointed out about the Taj Mahal. There is also speculation that the structure was built on the site of a former Hindu temple, and that the basement contains Hindu artifacts and artwork. In 2019, a parliament member claimed that these objects had been removed from the Taj Mahal in 2011, and that he had documentation proving that it was built on stolen Hindu property. There is also the mystery of locked doors hidden underground, and nobody knows what's behind them. It's believed that there may be as many as 22 secret rooms beneath the Taj Mahal. If they do exist, only a privileged few know what's inside them, but even so, the mystery remains as to who built the rooms in the first place. Number 5. King Solomon's Treasure. According to the Hebrew Bible, Solomon was Israel's 3rd king. He reigned from 965 BC to 925 BC and was known for his immense wealth. The empire prospered under his leadership, during which time Solomon commissioned magnificent palaces and fortresses. He also reportedly had a huge collection of treasure, including the famed Ark of the Covenant, a gilded box that was supposedly built nearly 3,000 years ago, musical instruments made from gold, precious stones with religious significance, the tabernacle, and ornaments from the Garden of Eden. Throughout history, many people have searched for these items, which disappeared when the Babylonians sacked Solomon's temple in 597 and 586 BC, but experts and civilians alike have failed to find any of it. A legendary story written during biblical times, called the Treatise of the Vessels, describes how Solomon's treasures were stashed in hiding places throughout the Middle East. The Ark was said to have been taken and hidden by the Knights Templar and may have ended up any number of places, if it was ever real in the first place. Archaeologists admittedly do not know whether the treasure was hidden, stolen, or destroyed. Determining its fate and actually finding it are extremely difficult when faced with untangling the Treatise of the Vessels and the many other stories about the Ark of the Covenant and Solomon's other relics. For now, the search continues for the legendary riches. Number 4. Crystal Skulls. Legend claims that an ancient Mesoamerican civilization, possibly the Maya, possessed 13 crystal skulls with supernatural powers. They were supposedly created somewhere in Central America between 15,000 and 10,000 years ago. Today, the skulls are rumored to be scattered throughout different collections. They allegedly vary in size and shade, with some being clear while others are smoky or colored. The artifacts supposedly range from being human-sized and intricately detailed to smaller and less detailed. Many believe that these obscure objects have healing properties and enhance the psychic abilities of the people around them. There are varying theories about the crystal skulls. Some people believe that ancient aliens or the residents of the mythical lost island of Atlantis made the skulls. Pseudoscience author Joshua Shapiro believes that the skulls are ancient computers that detect and record nearby energy and vibrations. He co-authored a book on the topic, in which he claims that these skulls contain a history of the world and that they pictorially replay all the images of people and things they've come into contact with. Where did he get this information? I mean, that would be really cool if it were true. Most mainstream experts doubt these claims, which is kind of understandable given their fantastical nature. And why would the Atlanteans give crystal skulls to the Maya? Using electron microscopes, scientists from the British Museum and the Smithsonian Institution analyzed some of the skulls. They found markings made with modern tools and determined that the items were probably manufactured in Germany sometime during the mid to late 19th century. In other words, it's highly unlikely that any of the far-flung stories surrounding the skulls are true. Number 3. Cleopatra's Lost Tomb. The Ptolemaic dynasty of ancient Egypt ended after Cleopatra VII's death in 30 BC. She and her lover Mark Antony committed suicide and were said to be buried together in a magnificent tomb. Filled with treasures made from gold, silver, emeralds, pearls, and ivory, the burial was located near a temple dedicated to the Egyptian god Isis, according to the 1st century writer Plutarch. The tomb's location remains a mystery to this day. Archaeologists have excavated numerous sites in hopes of finding it, but to no avail. One woman, Kathleen Martinez, has devoted the bulk of her career to searching for Cleopatra's final resting place. Her team has spent 14 years digging at a site outside Alexandria called Taposiris Magna, which Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities excavated in 2010 with no luck. Martinez believes that Cleopatra was determined not to let the conquering Roman Empire find out where the tomb would be, so she escaped as a prisoner and ended her life in a place where her own people would find her remains before her captors could. In the process, she evidently also outsmarted the modern-day experts, who have painstakingly searched for it, only to turn up empty-handed. Most researchers believe that the chances of finding Cleopatra's tomb are slim, despite Martinez's optimism. Last year, Live Science spoke with scholars who are experts on Cleopatra, and they were less than confident that her burial will ever be uncovered. They pointed out the possibility that the tomb is located in a part of Alexandria that is now submerged. It's also possible that the burial has been looted and plundered beyond recognition. Do you think Cleopatra's tomb will ever be found? Let me know in the comments below. Number 2. The Heretical Monk. Giordano Bruno was a 16th century Italian monk and philosopher from Naples, whose beliefs about the universe got him in some serious hot water with the Catholic Church that eventually led to his death. He studied all books he could get his hands on, even ones forbidden by the Church. He suggested the suns are stars that planets revolve around, which we know today is actually the truth. But back then, a statement like this challenged the claims of big-name thinkers like Copernicus and Kepler, who believed that our Earth and solar system was the center of the universe, and everything else revolved around us. Labeled a radical, Bruno fled Naples in 1576 to avoid the Inquisition. In an effort to stop the spread of the Protestant religion, the campaign sought to persecute people whose views disagreed with the Catholic Church, and Bruno certainly fell into that category. He spent several years in France, where he gained the favor of some influential people, and eventually moved to London, where he lived in the French ambassador's home. Although he had supporters, Bruno routinely encountered opposition. He returned to France, wore out his welcome there, moved to Germany, and then was invited to relocate to Venice. There, Bruno was arrested by the Inquisition, and he was imprisoned for the next 8 years. During that time, he was repeatedly questioned and tried for heresy, but refused to recant his beliefs. In 1600, Bruno was burned at the stake. Records of the event are missing, so nobody knows what the specific reasons were for putting him to death. It's also unclear whether his cosmological beliefs were the main motivating factor for giving him the death penalty, or if other religious offenses played a role. Number 1. Copper Scroll Treasure. Discovered in a cave at the Qumran archaeological site on Israel's West Bank in 1952, The Copper Scroll is different from all of the other Dead Sea Scrolls. Not only is it made from copper, unlike the others, which were written on parchment, but it contains an extensive list of 64 places where literal tons of gold and silver treasures are buried or hidden. Their modern-day value would be astronomical, likely numbering in the trillions of dollars. But the list was written using cryptic language and does not provide precise locations, and nobody has ever found anything from the hoard. Dating back over 1,900 years, the scroll was created when the Roman Empire controlled the Qumran region. Researchers can't seem to agree on a precise date for when the treasures were hidden, but it's safe to say that it was during or around the same time the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Many experts theorize that the stashing occurred before the sacking of the Second Temple in 70 AD. Meanwhile, some scholars believe that the list contains an unrealistic amount of gold and silver, too much for the treasures to possibly really exist. Sadly, this is one historical mystery that may never be solved, but will be kept alive by those who believe and who are determined to find the missing treasure. Thanks for watching! Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!